Guys, so imagine this, a channel with 2 million subscribers in India. He is making a video about us. He is making a video. We on the map, guys. We're on the map. They are calling us Bhosra pillars or whatever, but we are on the map. That's it. That's it. That's it. If Hamoudi was right here, he would say something like, Body Boyo! Blackpill overdose! Total Blackpill India victory! The normies have been routed in the first incel Desi Copper War. Brutal, guys. He would say something like this. If this was an entry in Wikipedia, they would write something like decisive subhuman victory. Normies routed by sub-5s, Blackpill sub-5s. 2% captured and converted. Blackpill establishes dominion in India, planning further invasions. Next, second incel Desi Copper War. Guys, the point is, this was a long time coming. It was a long... India is progressing. Some guy... Yeah, man. India is progressing, of course. That is why guys are realizing how over it is. Guys, we literally have a country which is an average IQ of 81. It doesn't matter if it's Congress or BJP. It's all of those guys who are fucking us in the ass, and we don't even care about that. फिर भी जाते हैं वोट देते हैं. We vote for these fuckers. We see people get killed during elections. Nothing ever happens. Quite literally, I'm being shot right here. Nothing ever changes. And instead of people looking into our problems, you have people like Sham blaming us for our own problems. Oh, you have to expose Bhosra pillar mindset, bro. The point is, the whole point is, the average guy in India is suffering, and instead of looking for them, you have all of these government schemes directed at girls, at women. Ladli Behan Yojana, Lodu Mata Yojana, and Konnasri in Bengal. All of this, man. Lokhir Bhanda, like literally handing cash to women with these schemes while never putting in the same work for guys. Never, like women literally have a negative fiscal deficit in a lot of the country. Instead of giving that to guys, and then these people would be like, bro, India is the rape capital of the world, bro. India mein kya ho raha hai yaar? Patriarchal society. No, it's not a patriarchal society. Society is so gynocentric. Even in a place like India, you invest so few resources to actually develop the life of men that they are uneducated. They live in squalors. They live in utter destitution, and when these uneducated men turn to crime, when these uneducated guys end up doing something heinous, we have people blaming our society, not just outsiders, not just foreigners, but people inside this country as well. That is the black pill. That is the black pill. You cannot do anything, right? You are doomed if you do. If you are doomed if you do not. And you cannot talk about this. And society expects guys to put in a lot more than it expects women to. Instead of developing infrastructure which might employ a country's young men, India is going the way of the West without having the industrial development. Of course you're going to have high crime rates. Of course you're going to have places that look like squalors. But I'd still kind of react.
Judicial and bureaucratic reforms are two of the most pressing needs of the hour. A major issue is also the problem of freedom of speech, whether it's the Congress or the Communist parties, or the Aam Aadmi Party, or the TMC, or the Samajwadi Party, or the RJD, or the BJP, or the DMK. All of these political parties fall dreadfully short on the standards of free speech that are expected in a well-functioning democracy. Every single one of these parties...
Well, the problem is, Sham towards the beginning of the video, criticizes Blackpillers for calling out democracy as being a scam. Right? He would tell you in the beginning of the video how wrong we are. How wrong we are for calling out democracy for being a scam. And then towards the end of the video, he admits that all of these parties in India, they fall short when it comes to free speech. Bruh, you cannot be criticizing us while admitting this for yourself. If all of the parties in India fall short on free speech, if all parties in India come to power on the backs of the votes of people who have an average IQ of 81, it's no longer democracy. It's the tyranny of the average. It's the tyranny of the dumb. There is no difference between fascism and an empire and the so-called democracy. In fact, one would argue that it would be better for a country if it was a monarchy instead of a democracy like this. If you admit this, then why do you think we are wrong?
Has misused India's draconian speech laws to harass other political opponents or people that have apparently offended their conservative voter base. The most recent case in point being the harassment of Samay Raina and Ranveer Allahabadia by prominent leaders of the BJP. On top of that, India is dealing with other failures like the SSC scams, the NEET paper leaks, and other scandals that can leave the youth feeling utterly helpless. So these are all issues that are very important to point out and very important to address. But the problem is that
this is exactly the point. You can live abroad and then lecture us living in this country on how to compare our cities, which have become dumpsters, no drainage, no infrastructure, which breaks few days after inauguration. I don't know why I laughed at that, but that's so true. Common man who traverses through such dirt every day will eventually be blackpilled because the very energy is being drained out of him daily. Absolutely, man. I agree with this. The biggest shame is your friends themselves in multiple videos have advised people to live in India if they have the resources. Absolutely.
Nihilism with regards to Indian politics and the future of India isn't completely warranted because India has traveled a big distance in the last decade. From a fragile 5 economy in 2013, it has now crossed $4 trillion GDP.
Alright, we do not disagree with that. India is developing, but at the same time, the social development is much faster than the economic development. So instead of being a country which still has some chances for guys, what happens is it has absolutely no avenues. Like the guy can still put in the effort and the results would be pretty much the same as it would be in the West. And the West is already developed. If you take India is developing, sure, but if you take away the incentive from a guy to work, then it wouldn't develop any further. It would never reach the levels that the West reached. The West reached those levels because men had an incentive to work. India, with its current laws, is taking away the incentive most men have to work, is having a family. Because the laws are quite literally replicating modern West instead of replicating 1910s, 1920s West.
On track to become a $5 trillion economy soon, and thus becoming the third largest economy in the world. In terms of drinking...
Bruh, the problem is, even if India becomes the third largest economy in terms of GDP, it wouldn't be the third largest economy in terms of GDP per capita. That is the unfortunate and harsh reality that a lot of right-wingers in India do not want to admit. If you really want India to progress in leaps and bounds, you would require its men to have some incentive to work. With modern laws in India, men are losing out that incentive to work at the same rate men would lose out the incentive to work in the modern West.
Water. As of 2025, over 80% of rural households have functional tap water connections, up from just 17% in 2019. BJP expanded national highways from 91,000 kilometers in 2014 to 1.46 lakh.
The problem again is the increase in the number of highways and roads is significant. There's no denying that BJP has done good stuff, but the number of cars, the number of people has increased even more. It's not any easier than it was 10 years ago.
Kilometers by 2025, a 60% increase with projects like Bharatmala enhancing connectivity. When it comes to road construction, there was an original black pillar within the government called A.K. Antony, who believed that an underdeveloped border is safer than a developed border.
As a policy on border, best defense is not to develop the border. Undeveloped border is more safe.
Indian culture and modern values, viewing Indian society as fundamentally flawed and declining. This is what a so-called
democracy is a escape. Form your reality without violence and revolution. So all of this democracy, this is actually the truth.
Oh great, I'm glad I clicked on the video. And it even came down to self-improvement and career prospects. So if you're B-pilled, why even try to better yourself? The system is rigged from the start. There's nothing you can do about it. So the core philosophy of the B-pill is simple, permanent, comprehensive pessimism. No hope, no solutions, no point in trying. Now after the 20...
That is not the point of the black pill. The point of the black pill is you have to try where you are good at. You cannot be trying to climb a tree as a fish. That's the point. That's the idea of genetic determinism, and he says that it's mostly limited to the sexual and dating market. No, that's not the point. The reality is it applies to all sorts, all walks of life. And I wish Sham actually talked with some guys like Juggy. He talked to some guys like Chat Tag. So he got a good idea of what we people are generally talking about. The laws India has right now, it's a very blackpilling reality, even though India is not a very developed nation. Oh my god! Holy shit! This guy, my subscriber, Blackpill is not about looks only, it talks about unrealized equality. Blackpill talks about genetic determinism and luck. It talks about unaware suffering. Yeah, absolutely. The point is, you can try all you want and eventually end up working a job or being in a relationship which doesn't treat you like you should be treated. If you were someone else, right? If you were someone born with better genetics, but you have to give in more effort than someone else. So there is no point in trying to invest yourself in such a job.
Parties like the Congress, which is the final destination of the B-pill ideology. The Congress relies on B-pilling.
हिंदुस्तान का
ये जो हम डेवलपिंग नेशन बोलते हैं ये भी नहीं रहेगा.
Oh, okay, and what's his reason?
एजुकेशन
A sentiment that pervades incel subculture, where taking the red pill reveals harsh truths.
Let me tell you guys, if these current laws remain in India, a lot of guys are simply going to lose out on the incentive to work. I am emphasizing on this over and over again. Many guys are going to understand that there are going to be people like Atul Subhash. This, with so much corruption in the education system, there is no point in putting in so much work, because in a majority of cases you're gonna fail regardless, right? Anyways, we can't really be exactly sure if at some point of will you debate with my friend live about Blackpill being the reality? He is probably talking about me. Somebody mentioned me. Holy shit. Gunacharya, man. This is alright. Always remember, guys, this is the guy always spamming negative comments in my comment section, and you people take him seriously. He is quite literally telling Sham Sharma to debate me. Alright. Hopefully he sees this. Alright, guys. Let's see what happens with India in the future.